Hello, today we're going to install a Timbren SES kit into the back of a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. If you've got an issue with sag, sway or body roll, this could well be the solution for you. Let's have a look and see how this kit works. The kits come with all the components you require to do the installation. Each Aeon spring is made up of 3 components: the actual weight-bearing Aeon spring itself, and mounted to this at the top is a mounting bracket which mimics the manufacturer's original mounting bracket. Underneath our Mercedes-Benz, and you can see the factory bump stop just clips into the chassis rails. This is what we're going to replace. To ensure our kit has the right amount of preload on it, before we do anything else, we must measure the distance from the bottom of the chassis rail to the top of the axle housing so we get the right amount of preload on our SES kit. With that done, we can begin our preparations to install our kit, and basically that involves removing the factory bump stop, which is as simple as putting a screwdriver in, pulling down on the factory bump stop because it just clips into its mounting bracket, a little bit of oscillation with your hand and you should be able to pull it free. Okay, now we've removed our factory bump stop. If we compare it to our Timbren SES kit, we can see that the top mount is exactly the same as the factory mount. What this means is when we go to install this kit, we won't need to cut anything, we won't need to weld anything, and we won't need to drill anything. What we must do next is measure the distance from the bottom of our spring to the top of our mounting bracket and compare that to the clearance we measured under the back of the vehicle. What we're ideally aiming for is about a 15 to 20 mil preload. In this instance, we're going to have to remove this spacer, which is just simply a case of undoing our alum head bolts, slipping the spacer out, and bolting the assembly back together. So we'll do that, then we'll get underneath the motorhome and we'll install the kit and see how she looks. Now we can perform our installation. Jack the motorhome up to spread the suspension, slip one end of the Aeon spring in. Here's a couple of little tips for you. Put a piece of timber underneath between the Aeon spring and the chassis rail, and a little bit of rubber grease on each end of the mounting tangs. This will make the process of installing the kit a lot easier. The next thing that we do once we have this is we lower the jack down to put some compression onto our Aeon spring. This will begin to push the mounting bracket up into the chassis rail mount. Now comes the trickiest part. With a screwdriver, you have to get the other end of the mounting tang into its mounting bracket, which is simply a case of pushing the tang up, working back and forwards across the mounting bracket. This will take a little bit of work and probably the hardest part of the process. Once you've got it started, if you move to one end, whoop, there she goes. You'll get one end to pop in, and then you can just case of working back and forwards across the mount until the entire tang has slipped up and clipped into its mounting bracket. Now we have that in, we jack the back of the motorhome back up, taking the load off the Aeon spring and our little timber spacer. As you can see, it lifts up and we're left with a gap. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll get back underneath and we'll check that our spring is seated correctly and that the tension is fine. We'll push our bit of timber out. Now looking at this Aeon spring, it's a little bit loose in its mount. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a screwdriver and give a couple of little taps on the actual metal mounting bracket that are holding the spring in position, and this will just firm it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be tight. You just don't want too much free play in the system there. Okay, now with that done, the final part of the process is to let the jack back down. And you should see our Aeon spring will come down and rest on top of the axle housing, providing the extra support needed to help stabilize and take out the sag and the sway from the motorhome. And of course, now what you need to do is repeat the process on the other side. If you have any questions, please contact us here at Timbren. The details are on the screen. As said, we have kits for all types of Mercedes-Benz and other makes of vehicle as well. So if you have any queries, please contact us.